This is a presentation about Universal Design for Learning, or UDL for short. UDL uses neuroscience to inform teaching. Different areas of the brain are activated when we perform certain functions. Studying how the brain reacts to scenarios can help us understand how people learn. As teachers, we can use the results of neuroscience research to predict the collective needs and preferences of our diverse students. By carefully planning our lessons to provide multiple means of expression, engagement, and representation, we avoid the time-consuming task of retrofitting lessons for individual students. The phrase universal design comes from architecture. The idea is to build structures that all types of people can use and access, like ramps and elevators, which were developed for people in wheelchairs, but have created opportunities for all kinds of people. If we apply the same philosophy to our teaching, we allow all students to access learning in a way that works best for them. The first of three areas of the brain which we will discuss is the strategic network. It is located in the prefrontal cortex. It is the part of the brain in charge of personality, expression, and forward planning. It is the last part of the brain to finish developing around age 25, which means that many of our high school students have only begun developing these functions. We can support their development by allowing options for expression and by modeling executive functions. Here I have a cartoon which depicts a variety of animals: a dog, a seal, a fish, an elephant, a penguin, and a monkey, and a man sitting behind a desk saying, "For a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Climb that tree." The monkey is grinning and is likely to do well on his exam, but the other animals look shocked and unhappy as they are likely to fail. If the goal is to see how well an animal can climb, then this would be a fair assessment. However, if the goal is to see how well an animal can move, then all of the animals except the monkey will be unable to achieve the goal if only allowed to express themselves by climbing a tree. Weaknesses and disabilities inhibit the ability to express content if people are forced to be assessed in only one way. We can allow for multiple ways of expression by wording goals carefully. For example, by simply replacing the word write with the word create, students with a physical disability or students who simply have a difficult time with the physical action of writing will still be able to express themselves using a tool like speech-to-text and will be able to achieve the goal. That's not to say we don't care about improving that weakness. It can be practiced separately, so as not to interfere with goal attainment. The options we allow should have equal expectations. Here's a checklist of the multiple ways that we can allow for expression. The strategic network controls action and expression, which includes physical action. We can anticipate adjustments for possible disabilities. It also includes expression and communication. We can allow for multiple ways or tools to express understanding and build fluency with graduated supports. Last but very important, executive functions. We can scaffold goal setting, developing a plan to carry out goals, managing information and resources, and monitoring progress. Many teachers assume that students can perform these functions independently, and that when they don't, that they are being lazy. However, as we learned, the prefrontal cortex is still developing. At no fault of theirs, students are biologically at different stages of development and will need varied levels of support to develop these executive functions. The second area of the brain is the recognition network, which is located in the cerebral cortex. It is the part of the brain in charge of motor and sensory functions. Interference when processing new information causes forgetting. This includes too much information, too similar material, and intensity overriding previous learning. Students need breaks to allow their brains to consolidate information. Quality is more important than time spent learning. Studying the same material for a longer period of time is not going to make a better math student if the quality of learning is poor. Here I have another cartoon. This one is of a man shoveling off the steps in front of a building while people are waiting at the bottom. The boy in the wheelchair asks, "Could you please shovel the ramp?" The man replies, "All these other kids are waiting to use the stairs. When I get done shoveling them off, then I will clear the ramp for you." And the boy in the wheelchair says, "But if you shovel the ramp, we can all get in." Here is a clear example of how universal design fits into education. By clearing the way for students with disabilities and allowing any student the option to also go that way, we remove barriers resulting in more goal attainment. By using multiple media like text, audio, and video for greater access and multiple methods for different learning preferences, we make the content available to all instead of only available to some. However, it should be noted that the media methods you use should enhance learning and not be done for the sake of saying you used multiple media methods. If you are showing a video clip, it should be about the content and at the level that you are teaching. Here is a checklist of the multiple ways that we can represent information. The recognition network controls information processing, which includes perception. Students need multiple ways to take in information, like simultaneous visual and auditory. If you write down the goal of the lesson on the board, also read it out loud. If you give verbal directions, also write them down on the board. We can anticipate adjustments for possible disabilities. Information processing also includes language and symbols. We should clarify vocabulary, symbols, and syntax, and support decoding and translating with tools. Students need options other than just text. We can ensure comprehension by supplying background knowledge, highlighting patterns and ideas, and supporting information processing, transfer, and generalization with tools. A link to tools and resources you can use will be made available at the end of the presentation. The third and final area of the brain is the affective network, which is located in the limbic system. This is the emotional part of the brain. We remember, relate, and prioritize with our emotions. The brain unconsciously stores memories and makes predictions by interpreting feelings associated with the order that events occur. This can work for good or bad. If a child feels good about themselves when they are in class, they will be eager to go back and experience more good feelings. But if a child feels bad about themselves, then their brain will shut down in order to avoid future pain. My last cartoon is of a boy holding a piece of chalk and staring at the board with a puzzled look. His teacher behind him says, "There aren't any icons to click, it's a chalkboard." Although probably intended as a statement in reference to how times have changed, the comic also shows that we need to step it up and make learning relevant and fun for our students. When we provide options for expression and representation, those options are also important for engagement because choice is exciting. Studies show that students will have better memory retention if we make learning interactive with games and technology. We should also remind students of their purpose by asking an essential question. Essential questions are most easily described as a goal in question form that provokes inquiry and allows students to make meaning of the content. For example, how does percent change, such as taxes, markups, sales, and discounts, influence the final price, and how can we use percent change to make better financial decisions? We should motivate students by encouraging and rewarding perseverance and resilience. Although we want class to be exciting, the options we allow and the games we play should fit into a structured routine so that students are not confused or distracted. Here is a checklist of the multiple ways that we can engage students. The affective network controls memory making, which requires interest. We can allow for individual choice, show them the relevance to their lives, and minimize threats and distractions. It also requires effort and persistence. We should give them reminders of goals, offer them challenges, allow for collaboration, and give quality feedback. There is a link to learn more about what encompasses quality feedback. Memory making also requires self-regulation. We should promote self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is different from self-esteem, in that self-esteem is about someone's feelings of self-worth, while self-efficacy is a belief in oneself that you can perform and reach a certain goal. We should also support coping skills and promote self-assessment and reflection. A few parting thoughts in summary. UDL teaches us to work smarter, not harder. If we plan for the variability in learners by making tools and lessons with options, we reduce the need to retrofit. You can think of this as one and done. One time spent planning a lesson that can meet the needs of all learners, and there is no need to spend extra time considering differentiating because the differentiation is already built in. When we provide scaffolding or other means as a way to accommodate disabilities or weaknesses, We are not providing a way to get around the content, but a way to get through it. If, during a lesson, we lose a student's engagement, or a student is really struggling to make sense of the content, we can train ourselves to recognize that what we are doing is not working, and to practice flexibility in changing what we're doing, even if that means differing from the lesson plan. By being transparent about our intentions and teaching students the neuroscience and skills associated with learning, we create expert learners, students who can play the game wherever they go. While you're creating your next lesson, ask yourself these 3 questions. What am I assessing, and how can I offer options for students to show proficiency? How am I going to engage my diverse students? How can I present the content using a variety of media and methods? The link is a list of examples, tools, and resources to help you bring UDL into your classroom. The tiny URL at the bottom of the frame is a link to download a graphic organizer of the checklists with live links to the resources I mentioned. I hope that this video has improved your understanding of universal design for learning and how we can use neuroscience research to be better teachers.